it's just been announced that Dave Allen will take on Christian Hammer on the Usyk Chisora undercard at the end of this month. I'm not sure how entertaining this fight will turn out to be, but from a competitiveness standpoint, you really can't grumble. In fact, a strong argument could be made that Christian Hammer is actually better than Dave Allen. So if we look at Dave Allen's record, he's currently 18-5 with 2 draws, and 3 of those 5 losses were stoppages. So he had a draw early on in his career with this journeyman. Then, of course, he was beaten by Dylan White on points over 10, then stopped by Luis Ortiz in his next fight in 7. A few fights later, he lost a split decision to Leroy Thomas. Then in 2018, he was stopped by Tony Yoka in the 10th. And finally, his most recent loss was last year, where he retired on his stool after 10 rounds against David Price. If we look at Christian Hammer's record, he is 25-6, 3 of those 6 losses by stoppage. Now, he lost on his pro debut. Then he lost to Marius Wack in 2010. That was 10 years ago. Lost to another guy. Never heard of him in 2010. Then it was a long time before he took another loss, 5 years. And then he lost to Tyson Fury. He was stopped in 8. Lost to Povetkin in 2017, but did go the distance. Also fought Luis Ortiz like Dave Allen did, but unlike Dave Allen, he went the distance with Luis Ortiz and he never came remotely close to getting stopped. In fact, he did have fleeting moments of success in that fight. He was landing some pretty decent, sneaky right-hand counters against Luis Ortiz. In fact, he was a lot more spirited against Luis Ortiz than he was against Povetkin. Against Povetkin, he was very, very negative. But against Luis Ortiz, he looked a lot more ambitious. And he did throw some meaningful shots at points in that fight, looking to try and catch Ortiz with something clean. So, yeah, and of course you can look at Christian Hammer's amateur background, and he had it doesn't show his full amateur record on here, but it shows some of the highlights. He fought David Price in the amateurs, Erkan Tepa, Mamedov, Abdulayev. So he fought good men in the amateurs, and he had an extensive amateur career. I'm not sure how many fights. It might be, 80, 90, 100, maybe more. Extensive amateur career. This only, shows a tiny fraction. Don't think that this is the full extent of his amateur career. It's not. And Dave Allen had very few amateur fights. So, as I say, on paper, you can definitely make a strong case that Christian Hammer is the better fighter here. Not by a massive amount, perhaps, but definitely, it would appear if you just look at the records and the experience. And even if you watch the guys in the ring, Christian Hammer, from a skill point of view, from what I've seen over the years, he's more sophisticated than Dave Allen. So Eddie Hearn hasn't thrown Dave Allen a soft touch here. In fact, Dave Allen might regret not going in there with maybe a bigger name, because if he was to lose to a Christian Hammer, it's better to lose to a bigger name than a guy like this, right? Maybe it's a ranking thing. Maybe it's a tough, like 50-50 kind of fight where Dave Allen is looking to get back the kind of purses that he was getting prior to the David Price fight, and therefore he needs to take this type of risk to, get himself back there. Who knows? But as I say, from a competitiveness standpoint, this is a competitive fight. But as I said at the start, will it be that entertaining? I mean, Dave Allen has this horrible habit of not letting his hands go, particularly when he steps up. Christian Hammer, he does have some skills, but he's definitely not a fighter with the prettiest style to watch. So it could turn into a bit of a hug fest and a bit, a bit slow and sluggish, like a slow waltz or something. Hopefully not. Hopefully it turns out to be an entertaining spectacle. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who are you picking in this fight? Dave Allen or Christian Hammer? BoxRec have given it 3 stars. In fact, they've only ever given Dave Allen as much as 3 stars in terms of the fights he's had. And that's how competitive they believe the fight to be. they give it a star rating. So according to BoxRec, in their view, although a lot of the stuff that BoxRec has is computerized, but their computerized view is that this is as competitive as any fight Dave Allen has been in as a pro. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below.